Hi, a very good afternoon to everyone. How's everyone? Good? I'm Anthony, the cloud automation specialist for this region. So I'll be sharing with you on the automation journey, Red Hat management. So some of the things that we are going to talk about today, why automation matters, right? Why management and automation matters, and how can Red Hat products help in your automation and digital transformation journey. And we'll also end off with some of the customer success stories that we have had in this region. So every business is essentially a digital business, right? You look at how IT is helping business to evolve. Businesses like Airbnb, for instance, right? They have made use of IT and innovation to be able to help them to be the one single company that is able to own more rooms than any of the hotel chains, such as Marriott in this world. How did they manage to do that? I mean, they managed to do it using software, and it helps to create disruptions, and they make use of IT to innovate their business. So clearly, businesses have a lot of advantage by being digital. So why aren't we actually moving towards that direction? Right? What's really happening is that automation isn't a new concept. It's been around for a long time. I'm sure a lot of you, system administrators, would have done things like a bash scripts, Perl scripts. Right? Those are how you actually do your own form of automation yourself. But of course, because we are usually doing it just within our own premise, right, within our own team, sometimes it's not really something that we share across the different departments. So while the idea of automation isn't new, right, the idea of having a unified tool that can help you in having automation throughout your entire organization is something that we will all want to move towards. Well, we have some codes on the screen here. Have any one of you heard of something like this before? Like, last night, the wrong version of a service was pushed to production again, and then it takes down a customer-facing application, right? I mean, when things like that happens, in the end, we have to start taking retrospective and see what actually went wrong with our method or procedures, and then we have to find out how do we actually remediate all those problems, right? Or that. Why does it take forever to remediate security gaps like Heartbleed in our organization? I mean, these are things that, while it doesn't happen every day, it does happen to some of us from day to day, right? Sometimes it happens, and when it happens, it usually causes a huge amount of headaches and troubles for us. So an earlier survey, right, by IDC back in March, it shows that automation enables hybrid management. 86%, right, of the respondents are saying that automation is either mission critical or very important to their future cloud strategy. Another 79% will actually say that they will need to deploy new management and automation software between now and 2020. What this really shows is that automation is vital and critical to a digital business and to the process of a digital transformation. So in these slides, we look at some of the benefits of why automation matters, right? One of the main things, of course, is that automation helps in predictable way of doing things, right? It basically helps us to drastically reduce the risk of human error. Think about the situation whereby you have administrators, for instance, in the nighttime, having to run the same kind of steps across multiple systems, right? It could be a system admin, or it could be a network administrators doing things on your routers, right? Let's say if he makes a mistake because of fatigue, right? Then it causes some issues, which is bad for both the business and for himself and for the customers, most importantly, right? Those kind of things can be avoided if we use things like automation. Automation really loves repetitive tasks. It is very good at doing repetitive tasks and being able to do it in a very consistent manner. That's something whereby automation is able to help us in many aspects, when it comes to doing things which are repetitive and doing things in a consistent manner. Another key thing that we look at is how we can enable more collaboration across all the different teams. We talk about how people are working and teams are working in silo. How do we actually fix that kind of issues, right? Automation using a unified tool, platform that everyone is able to relate to and use will actually help us to enhance that kind of collaboration across teams and to continuously align business and IT needs, right? So those are some of the things on why automation matters and what are the benefits that it actually brings us. So we talk a lot about the benefits of automation. So why is enterprise automation elusive? Of course, the first point that is shown in the slides, it talks about the skill gaps that we have and some of the issues of org chart, right? People reports to different management. We all belong to different hierarchy within a large organization. So what you are doing may not be something that someone else is aware of, right? We don't usually communicate outside of our own team, right? People perhaps working in the network team, probably they will not really be so interested in looking at what the storage guys are doing, right? So when that happens, you have this kind of issues with silos. When you have silos, you don't really think in a holistic manner, right? You don't really look at how you can actually integrate across. And that is the issues where we talk about people and we talk about culture when it comes to enterprise automation, right? Those are things that will have to evolve and change in order for us to be able to go on this new journey of digital transformation. Then we talk about the things about point 2, right? So those are things which are very vendor-specific equipments and software, right? A lot of times, different vendors, if not most of them, right, have their own set of software whereby they have to make use of certain tools that they come up with in order to be able to perform a certain kind of activity. It could also be the case whereby system administrators writing their own set of tools and scripts that only they themselves are aware of, right? And not necessarily shared across teams. Then, of course, we talk about innovation and how we can actually hasten the phase of innovations by having integration that works across all the organization. When we have integration that can work across the entire enterprise, it really brings us a lot of value. And of course, those are things that we'll want to do. So we talk a lot about how automation is important, how enterprise automation is elusive. So then we look at what are some of the things that can be done, right? Ansible is able to help resolve some of the very issues that we have been talking about earlier, right? Ansible is simple, it's agentless, it's extensible in the sense of that it actually uses different modules that's written in Python, written in PowerShell, other languages that can help us to manage a large number of different platforms. So what exactly is Ansible, right? It's a tool, right? We talk about it being simple. We talk about it being powerful and being agentless. We are using playbooks to run automation within Ansible. Playbooks are written in YAML. YAML is just yet another markup language, right? So what does YAML comprise of? It's mainly human-readable automation. The way it is written, you don't really need a special coding skills, right? Like Ruby, right? You don't really need to know that in order for you to be able to do powerful automation using Ansible. What this does means is that then you'll be able to have productivity very quickly because of the fact that YAML is a language, it's a scripting way of doing things which can be picked up very quickly. Powerful Well, because other than things like app deployment, it can be used in config management, can be used for workflow orchestration, right? It can also be used for things like network automation. Agentless is something that we think is very important. Right? The fact that it is agentless means that there is really no agents that we need to deploy. The fact that you don't really have to deploy any agents cuts down a lot of processes. I mean, I've heard complaints from some customers that, that the kind of software they're using requires agents in order to keep track of the status of their nodes. And when the agents die, then they will have difficulties in maintaining the state and of those remote nodes that the master node is managing. And the fact that we don't have agent, it actually means that there is nothing for us to exploit. I mean, if an attacker were to attack the system, it wouldn't be Ansible agents, right? If there is, right, that will be being attacked, right? Because there's no agent to start with. And it also does mean that we don't have to worry about updating all these agents that has to be deployed if we are using an agent-based tool. Well, we are using OpenSSH to connect to the various Linux, Unix systems, as well as network devices. Because of the fact that we are using things like SSH, it allows us to connect to things like Cisco routers, Juniper switches, and things like that, right? Whereby you can't really put an agent in most cases on those proprietary software. This means that the end result is that we can get the team started immediately, and you'll be able to do things in a more efficient and secure manner. So these are some of the statistics that we have for Ansible. Ansible is an upstream project. All the codes can be found in GitHub, right? We have more than 500,000 downloads a month. That's a huge number. We have more than 32,000 GitHub stars. What that means is that more than 32,000 people are actually following us on GitHub. We also have more than 1,900 modules, and that number increases on a daily basis with a large number of people contributing to Ansible. What isn't shown here is how we are ranked in the top open source projects in GitHub. Right? The 2018 report from GitHub ranks the top 10 open source projects in the world based on number of contributors. You can see that among them you have things like Kubernetes and TensorFlow, right? So Ansible is the only configuration management tool that is in the list of top 10. It is, in fact, ranked number 7 out of 10 with 7,500 contributors to Ansible. And we know that we have a large number of followers. So Ansible is a very popular upstream community project. So we look at how Ansible is the universal language, right? The fact that it is very easy to pick up and can be used on a wide variety of platforms means that you can actually use it across various parts of the IT organization. For instance, if I want to deploy a 3-tier application which comprises of a load balancer, web app, Postgres database, right? If we are using Ansible, then the network engineer can write their own YAML playbooks that takes care of the configurations of the load balancer. The app dev guys can work on the web app device, servers and VMs. And then, the Postgres, for instance, database, right, can then be managed by the playbooks that's written by the database administrators. So this really means that we can get different teams across the organization to come together, work together, collaborate, and come up with a way in which we can do things in a much better manner, right? And this shows the list possible list, right? I mean, as in it grows every day. Right now, this is what we have. In terms of the things that we can work on, you can see that a large number of different categories. We have cloud, we have containers, Windows, storage, networks, different aspects. Right. I was just showing some of the people who were coming to our booth earlier on how we can make use of Ansible for Windows automation. We can do things like using Ansible to upgrade Windows. Right. We can target specific packages or KBs, right, that we want to upgrade using Ansible and generate reports after that. So those are some of the things that we can do using Ansible on Windows. Network automation is something that we will touch on in later slides. So that is also a key area in which we have a lot of interest in. Right? People are using Ansible in many different ways to do all this automation. In fact, we have outreach of more than 900 different platforms at this point in time. It's a huge number, grows by the day. It's a very flexible tool. So in this slide, we talk about Ansible Tower. Ansible Tower is the enterprise framework that is on top of the Ansible engine core, right? It has a dashboard UI and comes with a RESTful API endpoint functionality, right? So what this means is that a tool like ITSM, for instance, right, like ServiceNow, can do REST API call towards Ansible Tower to get it to do certain jobs. So when you have, for instance, a workflow that you get approved, for instance, you need 2 or 3 levels of approvals. After that, you could just get ServiceNow to trigger a post REST call towards Ansible Tower, and Tower will be able to run the kind of playbooks that you want it to run to either perhaps remediate the situation or to do a certain change request that's required. So those kind of things can all be done because of the fact that it has a REST API that can be used for communication. And of course, Ansible itself has a URI module that can allow it to communicate with anything that talks REST. One of the key benefits is also the fact that it has role-based access control. What that does means is that you'll be able to control who can see what kind of playbooks, right? If a person were to log into the system, let's say a network guy, you shouldn't really be seeing things that belongs to a guy from storage team, for instance. So with the kind of role-based access control, you can control the credentials that he has access to and the kind of playbooks that he has access to and whether or not he can execute a certain playbook. We have the ability to do workflow within Ansible Tower, right? Workflow allows you to chain different playbooks together to do different kind of activities, right? And everything is centrally logged, which means that you have full control over the people who have actually accessed the system, allows you auditability, full visibility as to who has actually done what in the system. All these are very important to a large enterprise. That's why we say that it is an enterprise framework. Well, this shows a possible workflow that we talk about within the context of Ansible Tower. We have job template 1. If it is successful, you will go and execute job template 2. If it doesn't work, then you will go and run job template 3. So think about this in the form of, let's say, I'm trying to provision and Windows VM and do a day 0 provisioning. Things that I might be doing is to bring up the VM, let's say on a virtualization platform, and then after that, get it to join the Windows domain, and perhaps install things like IIS, right? So if it doesn't work, let's say the VM wasn't able to be created for some reasons, then we can get it to run a rollback of the whole system and delete the VM. Those are the things that we can actually do in this kind of workflow that we have over here. The same thing can be used in different places, like a Cisco router. Let's say if I have a night activity, I want to configure ACL rules on Cisco routers, and I was successful for 9 out of 10 of them, right? But the last one, for some reason, it just doesn't work. So then what can I do? I mean, under normal circumstances, maybe I have to manually roll back one at a time, right? But with this automation that we can provide by Ansible Tower, we can actually have the system perform the rollback in the event of a failure to execute or add ACL rules to Cisco routers. So we talk about scale-out clustering as well, right? Because Ansible Tower can go and perform the same action across multiple devices at the same time. So literally, with Ansible Tower, we can reach thousands of servers in parallel. Next, we kind of touch on a bit on network automation. Managing networks hasn't really changed much in the last 30 years. A lot of network engineers today, more than 70%, right, still uses CLI to manage the network devices. People are following a method of procedures during the nighttime, keying in CLI commands, updating our routers and switches. So we want to look at how we can evolve this way of doing things. We talk about how network automations evolve. I mean, as in the evolving of network operations, excuse me, isn't really so much about the cool technology that we are talking about these days, like SDN, right? It's really about how we can simplify the entire operations and process for network automation and network operations, right? For instance, right, if you want to update NTP settings across, let's say, 2,000-3,000 nodes, are you going to do it one at a time? Or are you going to try to figure out a way in which you can push your configurations using automation tools like Ansible to all of them and ensure that the results are idempotent, which means that whatever that has to be changed will be changed, and things that should not be touched will not be touched. That will be a safer way and a smarter way to do it. That's why we are advocating evolving network operations should be more on how we can automate the networking function itself. So, of course, we look at it as how you can use Tower or Ansible itself to build, to manage, and to scale. Right? We can automate discrete tasks, such as adding of new ACL rules or even removing ACL rules. And then we can chain different playbooks, templates together to achieve the end results that we want. One of the POCs that I was doing for one of the customers involved chaining the ACL, adding of ACL to Cisco routers, and adding of new firewall policies to one of the firewalls that we have in their network. So those things can be all chained together, and the end results will be that you'll be able to update ACL, you'll be able to update firewall policies in one single workflow. In this way, you'll be able to achieve efficiencies and optimize the entire process itself. So there are different ways in which we can use network automation. Right? The device-centric one will be things that we will probably do more often, which is to push the configurations towards the networking devices. The one for app-centric will be things that we move towards the application side. Right? Things like being able to control the Cisco NSO, being able to control the Cisco ACI using Ansible. Right? Those are all possible. Cloud-centric network automation is something that can be done, but it's not commonly seen in the field, even for the US. Right? So some numbers that we have over here, we talk about how we have more than 700 network modules, and how we are able to operate on more than 50 different network platforms. Right? The network modules, a lot of time, they are things which are contributed by networking vendors. Like the Cisco modules can allow us to control the iOS devices. The iOS modules that we have can be used to do different things on the devices, such as adding a new host name, or you want to save configurations as a backup. You can even do a rollback. I can get it to archive the current configurations, among different things. Then we have the Galaxy roles. There are many different Galaxy network roles that is available in the Ansible Galaxy. Ansible Galaxy is a place whereby the community come together to contribute roles that can be reused by different people. So those things are all available online. If you were to look at it, you can actually make use of some of the ideas within the Ansible Galaxy. Look at how you can perhaps incorporate that into what you currently have. Or you can perhaps try to use some of the information to shortcut, to reduce the time that's needed for your, basically to do your the task that you're looking at. So we can look at the growth, right, in the number of modules. It's actually increased drastically over the last 2.5 years, from just 28 modules to more than 700. This shows the interest in our product, right, in Ansible over the last 2.5 years. And this trend will continue to grow. We will have more and more support from the different network devices. These are just some of the Ansible modules that we have built into the system, right? You can look at some of those names over there: Arista, Juniper, Cisco, Palo Alto, Fortinet, FireOS, many different ones. Infoblox as well, right? We can manage and do things like IP address management, so that can be done as well, right, by interfacing with IPAM, such as Infoblox. So the other parts of our Red Hat management portfolio, other than Ansible and Ansible Tower, will include Red Hat Insights, Satellite, and CloudForms. Right? Insights basically helps us to prevent critical issues before they happened using analytics. Satellite itself allows us to have a standard operating environment with the kind of desired state that we want it to be in. And this helps us to reduce security vulnerabilities, since everyone is on the same page. And CloudForms, it's self-service provisioning using Catalog. All of them have Ansible Insight that helps us to do the daily functions. Well, this is one of the examples on how Insights can be used. Right? It can help us to detect things such as meltdown and spectral risk for systems. It will flag an alert, and after that, we can actually make use of the Ansible playbooks to auto-remediate the problems and fix the systems that we have. Then we talk about how Satellite is able to act as a dynamic inventory for Ansible Tower, right? So what we have to do is just to be able to make use of the information provided by Satellite to act as the source of inventory for us to manage our RHEL farm. Back in 2015, right, IKEA actually has about 3,500 servers that is at risk for the shell shock threat. Well, because they have Satellite, they were able to keep track of the state of all the machines that they have, which are all the RHEL servers. Based on the ability to have a standard operating system, what happened in the end is that they just took about 2.5 hours to run a write up all the required procedures to fix the issues, test it, and then deploy throughout the entire server farms. So it just took them about 2.5 hours to fix 3,500 VMs. How cool is that, right? Okay, the last part that I want to talk about is some of our customer success stories. Of course, the things that we mentioned earlier by the previous two speakers, I mean as in two speakers before me, right, is on Cathay Pacific. We look at how they are able to make use of our products, such as OpenStack platform, right, the OpenShift container platform, Ansible Tower, RHEL, CloudForms, and Satellite, to help them to achieve their hybrid cloud strategy. What this allows them to do is to have an increased application development throughput. From about 20, they were able to make 200 changes a day. That's a 10 times increase in performance, right? So the results is that we have new services to market faster, and we have a reduced infrastructure footprint with a lower total cost of ownership for production environments. So, I mean, in the words of Carrie, who is the General Manager of IT Infrastructure and Operations, I mean, basically we can see that Red Hat solutions have helped them deliver value to their customers much faster with improved performance and stability. So we have a lot of updates coming for all our different products. For instance, in the case of Ansible, right, we are looking at how we can make use of Ansible in the security aspects, using it on things such as checkpoint, and how we can actually use it to enhance security. Those are new changes that's coming and being worked on. This is actually my last slide. I mean, if anything at all, I mean, I hope that you guys have seen how automation will be able to help you. Automation really helps to accelerate innovations. And with that, you can spend more time doing other things that you like, new projects, or spend more time with your family. Right? Okay, thank you, everyone.